Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of MSP Success Spotlight. I'm your host, Ryan Ruff. It's great to have you with us. We've got another great episode on tap for you today. We're bringing in another managed service provider to help share their industry insights, some of the practices that they, are doing in their business. And then, of course, what we love to cover on this show is those differentiating factors. What really separates their business from the rest of the pack? Today on the show, we're featuring Mr. Matt Disher, president of Southwest Networks Incorporated. His company's based out of the Palm Desert, California area. So we're going to bring Matt on. We're going to, again, have him walk through some of his industry insights, what led him to his role at Southwest Networks, and then, of course, some of those differentiating factors and the various elements that he and his business are super passionate about today. So with that, let's go ahead and bring Matt on to get the conversation rolling. Matt, how are you doing today? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I'm doing fine.
All right. Well, hey, look, we're happy to have you on the show here. I would love to kind of just get things started today by having you share a little bit of background on yourself, your business. Just give us, paint us that picture as to who you guys are and what it is you do out there in Palm Desert, California.
So a little bit background on me. So my journey really started with getting into technology with the military. My stepfather was in the Navy and we got stationed over in Germany, which was awesome. But he would bring me into where he worked in his IT center, and to keep me busy and out of his hair, this is how far back I go, he would load a reel-to-reel onto the mainframe so that I could play like Pong and some of those older games on a green screen. It really got me hooked into technology. He was really into things. Fast forward to high school, my best friend joined the Marine Corps, asked me to join with him. I said, yeah, sure, let's do this. Unfortunately, when you take the ASVAB test, which is a test they use to see what you can do for the military, right? What kind of job you can have. He was able to either be a cook or a grunt, which is, an infantryman. So I was like, well, he's going to be an infantryman. I'm going to be an infantryman. We'll go in together. We'll do this thing together. So I got home, told my dad, and he said, not only no, but hell no, turn around, go back, get yourself an actual job. So I had to go back to the recruiter's office and change that. Got into electronics, so radio electronics. At the time, that was the longest school in the Marine Corps. It was 11 months long of just training to train somebody in electronics. Luckily enough, I already had 4 years of electronics in a great high school back there in Wisconsin where I grew up. So did that, met my wife, asked to stay in 29 Palms, California. And for those of you not familiar with our desert, nobody ever asked to stay in 29 Palms. So, you can get into 120-degree weather. It's the largest landmass base that the Marine Corps has, I think, across all the military actually has in the continental United States. But so I, of course, got stationed there and with the school. So fast forward a little bit, the school starts to separate from base side IT because they're not getting the service that they want because they're falling under the rest of the base. So they decide to start their own division for taking care of their IT needs. I ended up being one of the founding members of that team and got to go around. That really got me into, what good customer service kind of looks like. So we would go around to fix anything and everything, set up new computers. I mean, this was back in the day when we still had DOS. Then we rolled out Windows 3.1.1 for work groups. And then when I was getting out of the Marine Corps, we were just starting to roll out Windows 95. So it's a little bit later in the spread. But getting back to the customer service side, I couldn't walk into the colonel's office and tell him he's an idiot and he doesn't know how to print something, right? You got to kind of really make sure you word things right and really kind of educate people. So that you don't want to always show up to the colonel's office that he's having problems, because then you're going to hear about that too. So that really introduced me to what great customer service looks like.
So Matt, you're rooted, in electronics, in IT service, and then of course your experience with the Marine Corps. And what's really interesting about your current company in Southwest Networks is that it was truly founded by a Marine. And when he retired, you kind of made the transition into power. Talk to me a little bit about how important that is also within your company's fundamental, foundation really, is that you guys as a company truly are also rooted, as a veteran focused, armed forces backing, really an entity of our United States military system.
Yeah, so he was a Marine. He got out. He was stationed out here, and then he decided to start a company with somebody else that he knew. They came from another place. He had a financial background, um, not much on the tech side, and I kind of came on board probably about a year after he started the company. It was kind of funny. He brought me on. I did a phone interview, and he said, "Yeah, here, show up for your first day of work." So of course, military, you always got to look good, right? So I show up in a full suit, tie, the works, and I find out he's on vacation, and I'm working with another engineer. So we go out on a client site, and I'm crawling under desks, hooking up computer parts and running cables in a full suit and tie. I mean, full blower. I'm under the desk, running cables, all the dust bunnies, the works. It didn't matter. I got under there, and that's kind of that military thing, right? So we do what we've got to do to get the job done. That we don't ask. We complete the mission. What's the mission? That's the mission. Perfect. Let's get it done. And that's kind of how we
Sure.
operate for our clients, right? So getting to know our clients, every client is a little bit different, right? We don't cookie
Mm-hmm.
cutter anything. We want to get to know them, because even going from, let's say, a CPA to a law firm, some things are the same, but there's a lot of things that are different, and that
Right.
risk. So there's that military side. So what's the risk of the mission? They're both going to be a little bit different. So that's kind of how we approach things, is
Mm-hmm.
looking at it from the overall standpoint of the client. I look at it as if, knowing what I know, if I was to be running that CPA firm or that law firm, and it was my firm, but knowing what I know about IT,
Mm-hmm.
what would I do? Right. So that's how we lead. I don't lead with the cheapest product or the cheapest service. Not to say that those don't fit in certain instances, but for the most part, I lead with the best solution to get the mission done for that client.
Well, Matt, I love that because in this ever changing world we live in, boy, everybody's needs these days are custom, to them and their own situation. So I totally support, you and your company's, message and mantras really of not doing anything cookie cutter because at the end of the day, each situation is going to have its own unique intricacies. So that being said, though, walk me through kind of what your personal roles and responsibilities look like as president of Southwest Networks. Walk me through, kind of your interactions with clients and how you go about your day to day as president.
Yeah, sure. So, I'm really the face of the company, of course. So I thoroughly enjoy going out with meeting with clients, doing some speaking engagements. I've spoke at a couple different association group meetings and stuff, the chamber meetings and things like that. I really like to get out there and educate the community and work with them, because the more we can educate people, the more prepared they are to deal with these day-to-day security risks. If the old adage of, you don't know what you don't know, right? So we want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure they're in the know when it comes to that risk. If everybody has the facts, a business owner, an office manager, or whatever, if you give them all the pros and cons and all the facts of the situation, hey, look, you got two choices. Here's this choice, here's that choice. They can do what's best for them and weigh that risk with your help. And that's what we like to go. So at day to day, I'm really the client facing piece of the company. Plus, I manage our operations team and office team, just from a sales, marketing, and of course our help desk and knock, which is in-house. We do not outsource to any other firms. Our help desk is here. When you call us, you are talking to a live body here at our office. I like to bring on any prospects and our clients to my office, want them to meet the team. I want the team to meet them, so we kind of know who's on the other end of that phone, and just really get to know them and talk about their business. So that's really my main focus, is the client interaction and making sure that we're ingrained with what's going on in each of our clients' business.
I love how heavy of an emphasis you guys have, it seems like, on client interaction and making sure that also not only do you have that, true FaceTime with clients to build that relationship and get, connect on that deeper level, but also the education side. And I want to hit on this because I know this is a big part and a big focus of what you guys do and what you really strive for is this education process. And in fact, I believe you have a story for us, in regards to kind of e-gift cards and this scam that was going around and why this was such a pivotal story in that it really works in terms of the education process and why it is so important to educate some of the employees of different companies, obviously your clients. Walk me through this story and how it plays a role in the education process for you guys.
Sure, sure. And one of our the biggest things that we talk about with our clients is that education piece. That's the best bang for your buck to spend on your overall security posture. Your employees are the biggest risk to your company when it comes to cybersecurity, because they'll click on something, they'll download something, things of that nature. So we really emphasize the education piece. Now, I'm sure, like all the other businesses that might be listening to this or watching this, their employees are the smartest people on the world. They would never fall for anything. But unfortunately, we all also wear many hats. So things get busy and sometimes we do silly things. So in this gift card scam, so you may have read about this or heard about this from other people and think, nobody would ever do that. Well, I actually had two clients within 2 weeks of each other let me know that they had employees fall for this. It was something to do with the construction industry, if you will, because they always targeted field supervisors who basically are never even in the office.
Mm.
Now, this particular one was for a nonprofit building low income housing. And we've been talking to them about our education online cybersecurity training for a while now. And they thought, you know what, our employees know not to do things like that. It's not something we need to worry about. So anyhow, I get this call, of course, wanting them to immediately implement the training. And I get some background and find out they had a field supervisor get an email from the executive director of this nonprofit. Now, this field supervisor, from my understanding, has never even personally met the executive director because, again, he's out in the field building these homes and working with the construction crews. But he gets an email from her and says, hey, can you go to the store and buy a number of $500 gift cards? Without blinking an eye, he goes to the store and on the company credit card buys the gift card just like requested. So then he emails back, hey, I got those gift cards. What do you want? How do you want me to get them to you? They email him back and say, hey, can you turn them over and send us, take with your camera, send me some screenshots, because on the back of the gift cards they have the codes and stuff, and that's really all you need
Right.
to redeem them online, right? So that's what they
Sure.
wanted. So he took the pictures and sent them. So next day, he gets another email because they struck gold with this one, right? He gets an
Mm-hmm.
email. Hey, this time, can you buy $1,000 gift cards? So what's he do? He goes to the store on the company credit card and buys $1,000 gift cards this time. So then they ask him, hey, scratch them off and turn them over, take pictures, send me the information. This time though, a light bulb kind of goes off. He goes, this is getting a little weird. I mean, I got stuff to do. I got homes to build. He decides to call back to the office, talks to people, and they're like, we have no idea what you're talking about. Do not send them anything. Stop immediately what you're doing. And the person, our point of contact at the company, we like to work with a central point of contact when working with our clients. So she immediately sends out an email to the rest of the employees. And about 5 minutes later, she gets a phone call back, says, hey, I'm sure glad you sent that email out because I got that email from her and I was on the way to the store to buy the gift cards.
Wow.
So needless to say, for that one company, there was 2 attacks. 2 weeks
Mm-hmm.
later, I had another company, same thing, person fell for it. And of
Wow.
course, when we were having our quarterly technology business reviews with our clients, both of them brought that up, and we immediately signed them up for our online cybersecurity training to make sure we can educate their employees. Because what's the old adage? You got to do something 7 to 12 times before it becomes second
Sure.
nature. And it's the same thing with that training, right? We don't just
Mm-hmm.
bring on a new employee to our business and hand them the employee manual, throw it in front of them, and say, "Good luck. I hope everything works out," and walk off.
Right.
We got to provide some training,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of businesses don't think about that security standpoint.
Yeah, and boy, man, the education efforts. I mean, case in point. I love that story because it can be devious in a way. It can be
Yes.
believable too. Some of these scams and things that exist out there that might lead an employee. And I also like the little point that you had mentioned at the very beginning here, Matt, in that sometimes when things get busy around a company, certain people's job titles stretch a little bit. We start doing more than maybe what we're typically accustomed to doing, and in doing so, you don't want to clog up the system. You don't want to hold anybody back. You want to keep processes and everything moving forward. So sometimes you take little leaps of faith. Well, sometimes those little leaps can be massive leaps if not educated properly when it comes to various aspects like this and cybersecurity. So I appreciate you sharing that story with us because there's a lot to gain from that in terms of the importance of you guys working with your clients to educate them as a whole. So I want to shift gears and use that story really, Matt, as a segue into just cybersecurity as a whole. And why is it so important these days? Especially maybe even in the last decade, let alone the 2 decades. Why cybersecurity has been so important? Share with me some of your thoughts on this matter, and maybe as well as any new threats or things that you're seeing in this space that are being trickling down into smaller companies.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so really the big cybersecurity threat and the way that we have to do this is all businesses are more and more reliant on the internet, right? Back in the day when there was no internet or it was just email, businesses, mom and pop stores, everybody, you'd walk in face to face, shake hands, people would buy things. Even when we first got started with Southwest Networks, I mean, we were basically a break fix kind of place, right? So one of our clients would call us up and say, "Hey, my printer's not working." We would dispatch a technician on site to go fix that printer or that program or whatever it might be. Well, nowadays with the internet, we don't have to necessarily go on site, right? We can remote control into those systems and give that more immediate response to the client's needs and get things fixed. And then if need be, dispatch somebody. But nowadays we can't live without the internet. So every business out there, even the little mom and pop personal, your best coffee shop in your town, right? They've got the little tablets to take your credit card and ring you up at the register and stuff. All that takes internet. So we can't live without that. The problem is the bad guys in the world know it, right? So they're going to try to get our data. So we hear it all the time. Oh, I'm too small. Why would somebody go after me? And they are 100% correct. No one is going to target you directly, most likely, right? The problem is we're all caught up in the everyone net, right? So we're fishing. These hackers and crime lords and stuff are just fishing in the sea, throwing out a big net. Problem is we're all in the net. So what we want to do is not be that low hanging fruit. We want to be better than the next guy. They tell the story of, if you're ever in the woods and you get chased by a wild animal, and you're running. One of the funny stories is you don't have to be the fastest. You just can't be the slowest person, right? So um,
Right.
it's the same way with
Exactly.
cybersecurity. Same way with cybersecurity. You got to be better than the next guy so that they leave you alone. So there's some simple things that can be turned on and done for your network, like educating your clients is the big one. Again, if that employee never clicks the link or downloads the file or plugs in the USB drive in the first place, you've mitigated that risk and that low hanging fruit for something bad to happen to you. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just one of the easiest ways to raise that level up of your cybersecurity and educate them. And it can be done very inexpensively by a per user basis. So
Mm-hmm.
it again is the best thing. As far as new threats go, they're getting craftier and craftier nowadays with
I
everything
would
they're
imagine.
doing, and they're constantly using the software we depend on every day, right? So we all
Mm-hmm.
use Word, Excel, and Outlook. I just saw an announcement come out again that certain attachments again can be held malicious and can allow remote hackers to take control of your machine. And how we're seeing them do that is they're starting to use Windows programs to do bad things. So there's different things that are built into Windows that allow commands to be issued. And your basic antivirus and other protections aren't going to deem those programs as bad, right? Because they're built into Windows. They've got to be allowed
Sure.
to run. But when they're used in an inappropriate way, you've got to have that level of security that looks for that persistence or that foothold situation. I was just talking with a client yesterday and kind of walking through how things happen. In the news, we'll see it all the time. These big corporations, Home Depot, LinkedIn, Staples, hey, they had a breach, your information's out there. And lo and behold, they've been there for 2 years. And people are like, well, you didn't know they were there for 2 years just in your system? And honestly, no, because they don't have these basic systems set up to look for those persistence and footholds information. and they're after our data. So that's where we get back to, oh, I'm too small. You may think you're too small, but they want your data. Your data can be things of email addresses of people you know, right? So every person they get into knows at least 10 other people. Well, that's 10 more people they can infect that then know 10 more people that then know 10 more people. That data becomes very valuable. So
Yeah.
employee information, right? Identity theft,
Mm-hmm.
big. Everybody's selling identity theft protection now, right? Costco,
Right.
Sam's Club. I think
Right.
everybody's getting in on the action. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a real threat. Your payroll information. There's a lot of
Yep.
scams where people are taking over people's payroll and redirecting direct deposit. So
Mm-hmm.
employees all of a sudden don't get paid, but your business bank account got drained like it was.
Sure.
So they want that data. So they're sitting on computers and just watching what you're doing. They're not going to
Mm-hmm.
be like in the old days of antivirus and stuff like that, where you'd immediately kind of see
Mm-hmm.
something go wrong with your computer. So it's not like that anymore. They're going to sit there, wait, collect data, see who you know, see what websites you visit. Hey, do
Mm-hmm.
you log into your bank? Yeah, you do. Look, oh, I can capture your password, and then when you're not looking,
Yeah.
I'll log into your bank. So
Sure.
that's kind of the new threats. Is they're getting really sneaky about
Mm-hmm.
getting into the system. We talked about it earlier with education, right? So think about Christmas time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everybody orders from Amazon, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if if you're waiting on a Christmas gift and you get an email that says, "Hey, there's a problem with your order. Click here and log in to take action to make sure your delivery comes on time." Who's not going to click on that thing when it's like a week away from Christmas and they're waiting on a gift? They click on it, and then afterwards you realize, uh-oh, that wasn't good. But you've already given away your username and password. So just little
Mm-hmm.
things like that. We need to make
Yeah.
the education top of mind and then put in other layers. And that's the other key, is layering that security, right?
Right, right. And I mean that's this idea of these new and innovative ways for hackers to get sneaky and find their way into not just your mom and pop shop's, system, but massive corporations like you just mentioned, Home Depot, LinkedIn, some of these guys been there for years in their system. So that being said, walk me through, just in your personal opinion here, Matt, why it's so important then to have ongoing cybersecurity work being done to make sure that you're staying ahead of the latest and greatest when it comes to these prevention methods and these strategies, and then of course the technology itself, making sure that you have the best up-to-date antivirus softwares, the things that you ultimately need to make sure that you're ahead of the hackers, you're ahead of what these new trickling down strategies are. Walk me through that process and why it's so important, Matt, to just stay ahead of the game.
Yeah, because the hackers and the criminals of the world. I mean, that's a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? So
Yeah.
they're going to constantly, as soon as these security folks, we've got some great people in security. There's some great products and vendors out there doing amazing things for the community. But every time we find a way to stop them, these guys want to keep making their billions and billions of dollars. They find ways around them. I mean, a story I kind of tell is, if you give me $1 million today, I can secure you today, but tomorrow we start over. And that's just the way it is in security. They're always going to find another way into the system. But again, we're in that everyone net. So if you're not an easy target, right? You're not the slowest guy when you're getting chased by a bear. They're going to move on from you. So what we want to do is raise you off the bottom and make sure that you're not the low hanging fruit, right? Education,
Mm-hmm.
multi-factor authentication, big one. So if someone's trying to hack into your email, which as we all know, no matter where we're at, on vacation, at the office, at home, our email is always available to us 24/7. Well, that means it's available to these hackers too. But if we enable that two-factor authentication and use it properly, we're going to be a step above. So when we try to get attacked and they try to steal our password and get into our account and it prompts them for that two factor, they're not going to be able to get in. They're going to move on to somebody else who doesn't have it. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the security products are meant for the big enterprises, right? Like the Fortune 500, Fortune
Right.
100 companies. So the pricing's not available to small and medium business clients. So
Mm-hmm.
we constantly evaluate and invest in ourselves in securing our own house first, because we have to make sure our environment's safe. So we're constantly evaluating vendors, standardizing our technicians and making sure they're certified. And we do that because we can't be a master of all. So we can't know everything about every different firewall type out there, every different type of backup. So we standardize so that we can provide optimum service to our clients. We're not going to waste their time. They're going to get their things done, accomplished in a timely manner, and be able to go and just get through what they need to get through. Those hackers, again, are constantly going to be getting around. Well, when you standardize on a security stack for our clients, it allows us to make sure we spend the quality time ensuring that those products are locked down. For example, we
Mm-hmm.
remember that Ring video camera in the girl's bedroom story. What was that, like a year
Yes.
ago?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, big story, right? Scared
Right.
that scared everybody who has a Ring camera in their house.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
The reason that happened was Ring at the time did not make two-factor or multi-factor authentication mandatory. They left it up to the end user to check the little checkbox. Well,
Mm-hmm.
humans being humans, we all reuse our passwords because who's going to remember the 50 passwords you need to do your job every day?
Right.
We're not. We're reusing those things, right? So your password gets breached, it gets out there on the dark web, they get a hold of it. So the dark web is, I just heard a great analogy the other day. Think of the dark web when you hear about this, it's not in the movies. Think of it as Craigslist for the hacker community, right? So when hackers are looking for something, they go to the dark web, that's their Craigslist. They're going to go there, get that password. They were able to log into the guy's Ring account, and basically, it's available anywhere in the internet. They were then able to see the video feed and talk. If he would have simply enabled 2FA, that attack never would have happened. We never would have seen the news story.
Wow. Well, Matt, to kind of bring our conversation here to a head, because we've taken a big dive into not only the importance of the education efforts, but also your company's heavy emphasis on the education efforts as a means of prevention. That is, so walk me through if you could share maybe one, two different factors, differentiating factors. That's a big theme on the show here that we love to get into. What differentiates Southwest Networks from the rest of the pack, the rest of the managed service providers? What allows you guys to achieve the level of success that you've seen today and to take you to the next level?
Yeah, I think one of the big things is, getting to know our clients up front, even early on in the process. So one of the things,
Mm-hmm.
are anyone looking to do business with us, if you go to our website and you click on the book a discovery call, that discovery call is not technical. It's me getting to know you and your business and how you use technology in your business, some of your pain points. And it gets a chance for you to learn a little bit more about us and how we operate and how we serve our clients. So just having that brief discussion, getting to know the client, because again, we don't cookie cutter anything, allows us to really optimize and create a custom package for each of our clients to help them mitigate their risk and protect what needs to be protected for them. We're not going to sell them something or implement something that they don't need. So that's big, I think, and it differentiates us. I see all the time when we come in to take over from other IT people where, oh, I don't remember the last time I even talked or saw the company. We want to meet with our clients at a minimum of every 3 months and what's going on in the business. What are some projects going on? Where do you see you expanding? What's, all those different things. We want to learn about their business more, not just the technology. We can solve a lot of business issues for them using technology, but we have to know about their business first. So I think that's one of the biggest things is getting to know their business. The other one is just our emphasis on being security focused, right? It comes back from that Marine Corps foundation, right? Security is very important. Every Marine is an infantryman. We got to learn how to shoot our weapon and protect ourselves and our fellow Marines. So from the top down, I've got some high end certificates. I didn't need to do that. I didn't do that for an ego boost. I did that really to show our clients that we take security seriously, even starting with me as the president of the company, all the way down, making sure that our guys are properly trained, industry certifications. We attend industry events on a quarterly basis, and we constantly evaluate new products to bring to our clients. I can always talk to our clients about new things that we're looking at to help them
Mm-hmm.
solve problems in their business and further protect their business in a economical way.
Well, Matt, I so appreciate you taking your time to kind of walk us through not only, the inner workings of the company as a whole, but also what makes you tick and what drives you forward to work and establish these great relationships with smaller businesses and help, improve their infrastructure, improve their systems, and then of course improve their security, above all else. And Matt, you had mentioned it once before, but I just want to hit on it again in case anybody had checked out our episode and they're interested in getting in touch with you and your company. How would somebody go about setting up that 10-minute or so discovery, call or meeting? How does that process work once more?
Yeah, so simply they just need to go to our website, which is southwest-networks.com. And right there in the middle, you'll see it all over the home webpage, book a discovery call. You just click on that button and it's going to bring up a live calendar feed of my calendar. And then you can pick the date and time that works best for you.
Alrighty, I love that. Well, Matt, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to kind of walk us through your company here on the show. And look, we appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll have you on another episode coming up here soon.
That'd be great. Thanks for having me.
Alrighty, look, and we want to take a moment to thank you, our audience, for tuning into today's show. If you liked what you saw, you liked what you heard, please feel free to give us a like, a comment, subscribe to the show, share this information with friends and family. At the end of the day, Matt and his company over, in the Palm Desert, California area, boy, are they doing some great stuff when it comes to forging some of those lasting relationships with clients, really working heavily on that education and prevention side because, as Matt had indicated to us today, the employees are the greatest risks. So that education effort early up front can really help your company in a dramatic way. So for Mr. Matt Disher, I'm Ryan Ruff saying so long. We thank you so much for joining us on another edition of MSP Success Spotlight.